Welcome back to another Warframe video, and today is the top 10 best weapons of 2021. Now this list that I have will probably be the same weapons that you heard before, but that's the only reason of why is because that these weapons deserve to be on the list. So these weapons are definitely one of the best, and if you probably never played with them, then you probably don't know they're the best, but you should definitely go out there and play with them because they are the best. So let's go ahead and jump right into this list. Number 10 on my list is the Kuva Zarr. The Kuva Zarr is a heavy hitting cannon, alright? Better than the original Zarr that they have in the game. And honestly, I just have to say that the Kuva Zarr is just absolutely amazing. It's really an amazing weapon. And I know I got the wrong freaking enemies right now, but I love this weapon because it hits enemies like crazy. Like, it's just one of the strongest cannons you can ever possibly see. I mean, probably even better than like the rocket launchers, except for Tenet Envoy. I know Tenet Envoy is definitely one of the best, and I have to say it's not on this list. I have to give props to other weapons. Tenet Envoy is definitely one of the best, but it's not on this list, and I really do feel bad for not putting Tenet Envoy on this list, but it is what it is. But I really do like it, and Kuva Zarr, really a really amazing cannon. It's a Kuva version, so you get to put any element you want, and that's how everything works with the Kuva Zarr. Trumna is number 9 on my list because I don't think everybody knows that this is one of the best weapons to even take out to any mission, but like, this is one of the best missions, weapons. Not as I was gonna say missions, but anyways, one of the best weapons because like, this thing is pretty much a heavy hitter as well, and it definitely has a second blast to it. It's like a secondary alt fire, and with the secondary alt fire, you just really need to kill enemies, and as soon as you like kill the enemies, I don't know why I'm doing it. As soon as you kill an enemy, it's going to build up this bar right here that you see on the aim icon, and as soon as you build it up, you release it, it fires out this ricochet blast that these clusters bombs start ricocheting off the floor, whatever it is, and it starts ricocheting, hitting enemies, exploding, and it really is just amazing how it works. So I definitely say Trumna is one of the best, and it might be underrated. So it is what it is, but the Trumna is definitely one of the best weapons, I honestly want to say. Number 8 on my list is the Proboscis Cernos. I think we've seen this weapon so many times on anybody's list and my list, but the only reason why is because this weapon is definitely one of the best weapons to be presented in Warframe. And you know, the Proboscis Cernos is like one of the best Cernos in the game. I've said this plenty of times. And what it can do, obviously, as you see it right now, it can pull in enemies with its tentacles, and then as soon, it takes like at least 3-4 seconds for it to explode. And as soon as it explodes, it takes a lot of damage to the enemies. So that's one of the best about it. And then not only that, but people use it to like group up enemies as well, which makes it a really reliable weapon. And that's why I think it's everyone's go-to, especially when they're doing Warframe builds and stuff like that. It's really just everyone's go-to to bring the Proboscis Cernos. So the Proboscis Cernos is really reliable, and it does a lot of freaking great damage. Even without it having crit chance, a lot of crit chance, it still does amazing damage. So Proboscis Cernos is definitely one of the best weapons. I probably should have just took this weapon out, but Kuva Bramma, definitely everyone's favorite weapon of all time. And well, I could say yes, it's definitely one of the best, but I just hate how they nerfed it and just made it kind of crappy, because the ammo efficiency is just straight up trash. But it is still a really good weapon, a heavy hitting weapon as well. You know, with the arcanes and the new mods that we get to put on the weapons now for primary and secondary, yeah, it just makes Kuva Bramma even more stronger. So I can't really say like, okay, it's like one of the trash weapons because ammo efficiency. It's not really the most terrible thing. If they nerf the damage, which they kind of nerfed the cluster bombs, making it do it small numbers of damage. It's still not terrible at all. Like, it's still one of the best and greatest weapons of all time. But they did, however, just F up the ammo efficiency. So that's what I don't like about this weapon now, and I don't use it as much as I kind of want to. I definitely want to sometimes use this weapon because, like, it is cool. The explosion damage is actually insane, but they just really messed up the ammo efficiency, and that's what really just made a turn off weapon for me. So honestly, I just don't like using this weapon at all, and I would say Tenet Arcoplasma is one of the best weapons as well. So many weapons I could fit on this list, but it's just like there's only gonna be 10 that could come out on top, and these weapons are definitely on top. So Guandao Prime on my list as number 6, because Guandao Prime is one of my favorite pole arms, and not only because it's one of my favorite, it's definitely one of the best. Alright, this is a pole arm, one of the best pole arms as well, if I have not mentioned that. And with this pole arm, you can do so much great damage. Like, literally, it can red crit. It has a 32% critical chance base, and red crit damage is one of the amazing parts about it. It's just really a overkill weapon. It can kill high level enemies like crazy, and it's just, gotta say, it's one of my favorites. Because of the original Guandao, I didn't think this weapon would have any potential to it. And as soon as they brought out the Prime version, they just made this weapon so much better, and they left the way it is. They did not nerf it, and I'm so happy for that. I don't think it should be nerfed, but it is great where it is. With the original weapon, you can actually do some red crits, but it just doesn't do high damage because of the status. The status was too weak, and it wasn't bringing enough damage to the table. So now we have the Prime version. The Prime version is doing better than the original version, obviously, and Guandao Prime is one of my favorite, one of the best. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tenet Cycron is number 5 on my list, and I love this weapon, one of my favorites. And why I say it's the best, well, it can nearly do the same as the Kuva Nukor, the Tomos, all of these weapons that you really hear about. These weapons can do the same thing that the Tenet Cycron can do. Alright, and it can, like, it can chain the enemies, basically. It's the chain of targets is what it can do. But it's just like the Tenet Cycron can do very high damage. Like I said, we got the arcanes and the new mods that we could put on here to make the damage better. That's where the Tenet Cycron is at, where it can do very good high scaling damage. So that's why I choose to use this weapon. It's also Tenet, so you can choose any bonus element on this weapon. It's better, obviously, than the original Cycron. It has pretty good stats, definitely better stats than the original weapon. So I definitely want to choose the Tenet Cycron because I definitely think it's the best weapon. For a secondary as well, there's not really a lot of secondaries I definitely use. So Tenet Cycron, one of the best, obviously, and I think I really just love using this weapon so much. They say this weapon is underrated, so I had to put it as number 4 because Bombonico is definitely the best weapon. I think it has high potential, most definitely. Since you can look at the stats and say it's probably garbage, but once you start putting the mods on here, before we even have the galvanized mods and the arcanes, it actually was doing some really great damage. And obviously with the arcanes now and the galvanized mods, I mean, shoot, it's now doing even better. So it has a second alt fire. It's basically 3 shots of bombs. I don't really know, I can't really say it's infested, but it does have some viral damage to it, and it can definitely be a heavy hitting second alt fire damage. If it had a higher crit on here, it definitely will become even more insane, but it is where it is right now as being a good damage. So I wouldn't say it's all bad, but it is good though. So one of the best arm cannons in the game, heavy arm cannons, and yeah, it's infested, so you can basically for the second all fire, you can basically build it for corrosive and then have also viral damage on there, just like the Proboscis Cernos, which is really amazing about that weapon as well. And yeah, Babandiko is definitely top 10 best weapons of all time. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below and getting recognition for this weapon. Cronin Prime is number 3 on my list. And when we talk about the Cronin Prime, it's nearly everyone's favorite weapon. I don't really know, I don't see people using the Cronin Prime that much in Warframe right now, but I definitely have to say Cronin Prime is still one of the best weapons of all time. I mean, this weapon used to be my go-to, you know, when Guandao wasn't, you know, existed at the time. I don't think it existed at the time, but Cronin Prime was definitely a go-to for me because it would just kill enemies like crazy. And Cronin Prime is better, obviously, than an original weapon. I think it got increased critical chance, increased status, increased crit multiplier, and the base damage as well, which Slash is one of my favorite go-tos, obviously, for base damage. So yeah, it definitely got some increased stats, and the Cronin Prime, definitely a really cool Tonfa, and one of the go-tos. So I think it's definitely still, it should be everybody's favorite weapon of all time in Warframe for a melee weapon, and definitely one of the best. So let me know what you guys think about Cronin Prime. And as we were talking about the Kuva Nukor, this weapon is number 2 on my list as one of the best, and it still is. This one got a change to it, and I mean, upon that change, it's still, it really still doesn't matter about this weapon. This weapon can still do the amount damage that it is, even though the chain is, you know, smaller. It only hits 2 enemies at a time, and then it moves on to the next enemies. But it does not matter, because the fact is, this weapon is such a heavy hitter, and it does a lot of freaking damage that the chain, you know, how many enemies you can hit, it still doesn't matter. It'll kill them very quickly. Like I said too, we got the new mods and the arcanes. It's still the amazing Kuva Nukor. It still has not changed. The only thing changed is the chain's targets that you hit, but doesn't make it a big change because you're still killing enemies very insanely and fast. So Kuva Nukor has not changed by a long shot, really. It just, you know, it is where it is right now, but I don't think it's just a big deal about it. You know, it's still a really freaking good, amazing weapon, and I think it's definitely one of the best. So let me know what you guys think about Kuva Nukor in the comments below, and you can also put any element you want on your weapon. So that's another amazing thing about the Kuva Nukor. And you know, I had to put this weapon number 1 because it's a new weapon, and you have to do the new war in order to get this weapon. But the Nataruk is number 1, definitely one of the best weapons of all time in 2021. Even though it's a new weapon, it's still one of the best hitting weapons. Which, I hate that it's slow, but it's definitely one of the best weapons. So I have to use to make it a little bit faster for the reload speed. That's alright, the fire rate speed. And this one is an amazing heavy header weapon. I hope I said that right. Heavy hitter. But this weapon, once you put like a lot of red crit mods on this, it just becomes that weapon, and it does a lot of freaking amazing damage. There's something that's called a charge shot, perfect shot, and I think something like I don't even know, quick shot. So quick shot, charge shot, perfect shot. Perfect shot is what you want to aim for, because perfect shot has the highest critical chance of all time. Alright, out of these 2 shots, perfect shot is the one, and basically you just need to reach that perfect shot, which is the yellow spot. You can also reach up to the where it gets close to the charge shot and then let it go. So that's how this weapon works, and hopefully everyone knows now how to use it. But that's how this weapon works, and it can do massively insane freaking damage once you start using that the perfect shot. So yes, that is the top 10 best weapons of all time in 2021. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this list, if you think it's accurate. It doesn't matter how the order is, it's just what do you think about these weapons being on the list to begin with. So that is all for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Follow me on all social medias and Twitch. Links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.